Well, there's 3 major rooms. There's 2 bedrooms and a study up there, and a bathroom. Some people call it a man cave. Am I in the study?
I tried to put Jimmy's out of the living. I took the rest was looking for my man cave. I got too much junk. I can't have it laid out there. People picking it up.
You got enough stuff there?
You gotta have police.
Yes.
No, a lot of stuff here.
Don't know where to start.
You gotta have a place.
These are to replace your packets. I went in and cleaned all the zeros up and zeroed it out to a balanced budget. So those right there, y'all can just put in those binders that you gave me.
Okay.
You can just pull out the existing ones and replace them with those.
Okay.
There's the first 2 business items are a big old mouthful.
Put that to the side. I'll look
Are
at
you
this
Mrs.
third.
Stepner?
This one's yours. I don't know who this one is. Sheree Townsend?
You finally get you some help?
Yeah. Yeah, I got
I don't know that
a
one.
little cruise right now. Worked on the automatic.
But anyway, if you want,
Bill
like I
accepted.
said, it's a big mouthful.
I already got a brand new
If
exception.
you want to read it, can you zoom in enough?
You had to do a lot of programming.
Want me to read
It
it?
was totally different than the new one.
Oh.
Or the old one, because the old one, they don't make parts for it no more, so.
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, our meeting is opening. We will have an invocation and a pledge. I will designate our prayer partner.
Let's bow. Our Father in heaven, we're so grateful for the privileges that we enjoy as citizens of this great nation. We pray that as we do our small part in governance, we ask that you would guide our thoughts, our mind, our hearts. Give us a consensus, give us a oneness with a purpose of benefiting the citizens who have placed us here. We ask that you would guide us and bless us, that we might always do those things that please you and that are in the best interest of the city. This we ask in your name. Amen.
Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Put it down. Good evening, everyone. So, at this time, it's my privilege to recognize all our visitors and those that are here, and just so grateful for you to come and share in it. We ask that, excuse me. We know that you took your time to be here, and we just ask that we be respectful of each others, so that we'll be able to hear what everyone is saying or sharing with us. With that, we're up to comments from the audience, council, and we have 2. Cheryl Wood.
Is it on? Tap it. Can you tap it? Can you
Just tap it a bit.
Okay, turn it on, please.
It might be.
I'm talking about the CEIDC's budget for 2023. I was at that meeting, and as an ex officio member stated, August 9th, these numbers do not look right. Your executive director gets $7,200 for vehicle allowance. Does he also get paid mileage reimbursement? Does he buy fuel for that his personal vehicle using CEIDC debit or credit cards or checks? What about paying for Sirius satellite radio, tires, oil changes, cleaning on his personal vehicle? This vehicle allowance is taxable. Is it or any other benefits processed through the payroll? What about 1099s? CEIDC provides and foots the bill for a company vehicle. Why does CEIDC provide any executive director with a company vehicle plus vehicle allowance plus pay for fuel upkeep and mileage for a personal vehicle? Are non-employees allowed to operate that CEIDC van? Did you know the CEID's travel and training budget is more than the entire city of Crockett? They have 2 employees and 5 directors. Crockett has almost 80 employees, 6 elected officials. During the 2020 COVID shutdown, CEIDC still overspent their training budget by $19,000, 250% in 1 year alone. Why are we spending a minimum of $7,000 a year for meals for any executive director? Who are they entertaining? At Sonic? What about the thousands spent each year at Walmart, HEB, Hobby Lobby, Amazon, Home Depot, Parker's? CEIDC's advertising went over budget at 186% in 2020 and 384% in 2021. Why is CEIDC allowed to continually go over budget but never make mandated amendments to the budget? Present those budget amendments to the City Council for their approval. Why has City Council groundskeeping increased by over 200% when the grass is overgrown and what I've seen is done by the City of Crockett? If they're supposedly hiring someone to do this mowing, are those individuals receiving 1099s? Where are the bidding proposals? Where is $35,000 being spent on upkeep? CEID was approved to hire a janitor for the tech center for 12 months for onshore. Why did we continue paying for a janitor 3 years later? Why did we pay for onshore utilities long after the agreement? This cannot be allowed to continue. Those are public funds, tax dollars. They are not the CEIDC's.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll have Sherry Townsend. Shari.
Mayor and council.
Ms. Thompson.
We need to set the record straight. To my knowledge, at least 12 Texas public information requests have been submitted to the CEIDC since March of 2022. In a newspaper article, James Gentry, along with board member Natrina Hicks, were quoted as saying the CEIDC has reported too many of these requests. This is absolutely false. Requesters are faced with a brick wall at the CEIDC. One requester at the CEIDC appointment to assistant reviewing documents was refused entrance into the building without cause by CEIDC board member Natrina Hicks. Mrs. Hicks also refused to requesters electronically record documents. Mrs. Hicks has also demanded to know what type of cell phone was being used and the phone number. This exceeds her authority and is considered abuse of public office. A physically disabled requestor was not allowed assistance in direct violation of the American Disabilities Act. Access to documents. William Pemberton responded that if they let one person get away with it, they must let everyone. In documents from the Attorney General's office, no TPIA requests have been sent to the AG by CEIDC, as were told CEIDC does with all requests. Either the AG office is lying or CEIDC is misleading the public. CEIDC spent billing to requesters, including identical statements, identical page counts, identical charges. The requests were for totally different documents by various persons. CEIDC simply duplicates statements, only changing the dates and recipients. It appears CEIDC simply cuts and pastes the charges and submits them to a requester regardless of requested documents. CEIDC, through attorney William Pemberton, has sent at least one requester emails asking for clarification. Requester explained they needed to know which requests they needed clarification, as there were multiple specific requests. Pemberton nor the CEIDC ever responded. Texas AG has sent letters on at least 2 CEIDC complaints, including the certification by James Gentry that CEIDC has complied with TPIA.
Thank you.
Okay. That brings us to item 1 from the regular session, August 1, approval of minutes.
I make a motion we approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second, all in favor? Motion carries. Bring us to item 2, Police Department Manpower and Criminal Incident Report for July 2022.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Administrator. This is our Manpower Criminal Activity Report for July of 2022. We have a total of 13 officers, worked 2,442 hours, responded to 549 calls for service, investigated 8 traffic accidents, made 45 arrests, issued 216 traffic citations, completed 75 case reports, and responded to 17 alarm calls, and 17 of those were false alarm. Below you'll see a breakdown of additional criminal investigation. Also want to talk about on October 4th, we're going to be, along with the Chamber, Fire Department, Sheriff's Department, we're going to host a national night out. Just a little bit of information on this. This was developed in 1984. It was developed to help bring the community together, everybody interact, kind of an event to get everybody out together, meet your neighbor, and socialize a little. So we were talking about it, and I actually got online and registered our department for it. And the same day, Ms. Lisa from the Chamber, she reached out to me. She said, "Hey, I'm thinking about helping getting this National Night Out going." I said, "Well, that's funny because I just registered for it." So she come up with the flyers. She's actually been in charge, or she's actually been the one to get the food and all the events for the kids and stuff lined up. She completed this flyer. As you see, the police department, fire department, sheriff's department will all be involved. We'll do it out in front of City Hall at the park. Bring the kids. They'll get to see the cars, the fire trucks. You know, they all love the fire trucks. So pass the word. I believe she's going to be passing out some flyers, and I'm going to let her come up and speak on that. She's kind of been the one getting it going. And if I don't have any questions on my report, I will let her take over.
Well, before you go, we heard that you did a very nice job at the high school for their grand opening, and we appreciate you that you're reaching out, but the message was well received. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Didn't know I was going to be doing this, Madam Mayor, City Council. Hello. Really, this came about because I had one of my members reach out and say they wanted to help sponsor National Night Out, and we want to foster a sense of community, foster a sense of excitement in our youth. So we're going to be advertising or taking flyers, or I'm going to be visiting all the schools and trying to get the kids out. It's a free night, free hot dogs, free ice cream floats. a chance to put their hands on everything. I've been in talks with Chief Frizzell and Chief Smith and Sheriff Hargrove, and like one of the things that we would love to see them do is have the kids, everybody puts on the equipment, right? You put on the hat and stuff, but what if they were to actually pull the fire hose? So we're gonna try to work that up, and we're gonna, and I think, Madam Mayor, you had a suggestion of taking a ride in a police car, you know, but it's something about, you know, if they can push the buttons, touch it, let's build excitement, let's get their excitement in these careers to our young people, and make the community aware of what our first responders, what our law enforcement agencies do. I'm working on a dunking booth. If I can maybe have some city council spend some time in a dunking booth.
I can't swim.
20 minutes, that's it.
I can't swim. I can't swim.
But everything is free. If we are reaching out to our area agencies like Kalen Center, Family Crisis Center, we want to have them to offer free tables. So if you know anyone, if you have an organization, a church that would like to participate, please let us know, and we'll get them a free setup there, a free table. But we're just working on music. We'll have free face painting. We'll have everything is just free, 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 free. And it's to recognize our community guys back here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We're looking forward to it.
Presentation.
At this time, the fire department monthly activity report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Jason.
For the month of July, we had a total of 41 calls, 29 of those being in our city response and 12 in our county response area. We did have one structure fire inside the city, was able to save the structure with minimal damage, so I think we're doing good. Last month was able to save a homeowner for having to rebuild. So the reports broke down further in front of y'all. If y'all have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Anyone has any questions?
No,
Well, we just want to encourage you. We know that everybody's kind of on the edge with everything's dry as it is, and we're just grateful that we haven't had more fires. But we do appreciate that y'all are aware and on the job. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 4, business. Like them folks said, everybody bear with me. Lots of reading. Public hearing on request for a specific use permit for Jeffrey W. Dorset of Possum Grape 2 LLC to allow District C3's horizontal mixed commercial and residential use of the building located at 205 East Goliad, Crockett, Texas, 75835, also known as Houston County Appraiser District, Partial 76. Legal description, lot 43, block number 35, original town of Crockett in Houston County, Texas, being the same property conveyed to Earl P. Adams by June A. Amac at E.D. at A.L.B.Y. by D. dated July 5th, 1966, recorded in volume 423, page 116, Houston County Deed Records, save and accept the west 6 feet of lot 43, block number 35, original town of Crockett, Houston County, Texas, having been conveyed to the Magnolia Petroleum Company by instrument recorded in volume 1155315 of the deed of records of Houston County, Texas. Further save and accept the west 24 feet of lot 43, block number 35, original town of Crockett, Houston County, Texas, having been conveyed by Robert Rice Thompson to Helen J. Burnett by deed dated July 12, 2006, and recorded under the document number 0661866 of the official records of Houston County, Texas. Hearing is now officially open. A lot of stuff.
Mayor and council, we have a specific use permit application for Mr. Dars for a Possum Grape 2 LLC. This is a building west of the current Bear Hall building. They now have a new mural in the front of the building, and been doing a lot of work cleaning it up. As y'all know, this is one of the buildings that's designated as C3, which we recently allowed to have mixed use under specific use if someone is going to have a commercial and a residential presence in the same building. So His plans are to have an apartment, living quarters in the back with commercial use up front. This was run through planning and zoning this morning, or at noon today, and approved by them. There was 2 that spoke in favor, none against, from the public, other within 200 feet, other business owners. 2 of them spoke in favor of it. P&Z approved it and passed it on to council with a recommendation to approve. If anyone of the public wants to speak for or against.
What kind of business is that, John?
I believe Mr. Jeff is here if he wants to.
Thank you, Mayor, for that long reading, and thank you, Council and City Administrator. The business currently will be my office for my business. In the future, I hope to maybe have a higher and better use for it, perhaps retail in the future, but at this point, it would be my office.
Okay.
I'll step back and answer any
Thank you.
further questions.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Durst.
Okay. Any comments from council?
It's just gonna be like regular office, like just,
Office for my real estate. I invested in real estate here in Crockett, and I'm just using this as my office.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I could just speak quickly as planning and zoning this morning today at noon. And we went through the whole thing and he explained what it was for, with the front being office space, possibly retail in the future, and then the back an apartment. And we had Rita pulled everything for us and we checked all the codes that were approved at the time the zoning change was proposed and passed by us and y'all. And we were satisfied that it met all the codes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any more comments? If not, we'll close the hearing. And item number 5, consider and approve a request for a specific use permit from Jeffrey W. Dorset of Possum, Grade 2 LLC to allow District C3 horizontal mixed commercial and residential use of the building located at 205 East Goliad, Crockett, Texas 75835, also known as Houston County Appraisal District Parcel 76, legal description lot 43, block number 35, original town of Crockett. And gotta continue to read all of it. Crockett in Houston, Texas, being the same property conveyed to Earl P. Adams by June A. Matt. ETAL by D dated July 5th, 1966, recorded in volume 423, page 116, Houston County Deed Records, save and accept the west 6 feet of lot 43, block number 5, original town of Crockett, Houston County, Texas, having been conveyed to the Magnolia Petroleum Company by an instrument recorded in volume 115, page 115 of the deed, block number 35, original town of Crockett, Houston County, Texas, having been conveyed by Robert Rice Thompson to Helen J. Brenner by deed dated July 12, 2006, and recorded on the document number 006186 of the official records of Houston County, Texas.
Mayor, council, it's no secret that a lot of our buildings were aging and dilapidated in our downtown area, and we had people with the means to purchase them and to remodel them and to make use of them, and in some cases reuse them. They're a vital part of our community now, and certainly we appreciate Mr. Durst and others who have purchased these properties. And I want to make a motion that we go ahead and approve his special use permit.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you so much. Looking forward to your business. Okay, at this time, we're item number 6, public hearing on proposed budget of the City of Crockett for 2022 through 2023 fiscal year. Now open. The public hearing is now open. Comments from audience.
Mayor and council, this is the budget that was presented last month, and it was put out for a proposed budget this past month. It's been in the foyer and available on our website for viewing, for concerns, comments, or questions. We've received some citizens coming in and looking at our budget, going over, asking questions. Have not had any negative comments or concerns from our citizens. This is the budget that funds the pay increase to our employees as reviewed by council. It approves also hiring 2 additional full-time firefighters, so we have round-the-clock firefighter staffing at our fire station now. If there's any other concerns or questions, I do have an additional copy of the budget in front of you for review. If any of the members of the public have any comments or concerns, they can ask them now during our public hearing.
Are there any comments? Council? If not, we're closed. Okay. Budget hearing is now officially closed. Item number 8.
Number 7.
7.
Number
I
7.
mean 7, I'm skipping down, I got too carried away. Consider and approve an ordinance making appropriation for the support of the City of Crockett for the fiscal year beginning October the 1st, 2022, and ending September 30, 2023, appropriating money to sinking fund to pay interest and principal due on the city's indebtedness, and adopting the annual budget of the City of Crockett for fiscal year 2023.
I have the ordinance in front of you. This is to formally adopt the budget that we just had a public hearing for.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. All in favor? Motion carries. Okay, item number 8, public hearing on 2022 tax rate. Hearing is now officially open.
Mayor and council, this is the tax rate that has been presented and talked about, placed in our paper. This sheet, as well as our following sheet here. This is the wording that was placed in the newspaper for viewing. And we have not received any comments or concerns on it. It's been posted in our paper that we will have a public hearing today as well, where you can speak for or against this tax rate. This is the tax rate that funds the budget that we talked about. This is the tax rate, which right here is the de minimis tax rate. This is a tax rate of 68 cents, or 0.6813 cents, a little over 68 cents per $100 in value, which will, based on the average property value for 2022, it will increase your property tax bill by $84.94 per year. And this covers our debt, and this covers the budget that we spoke of.
For the benefit, I think that for those who may not understand the diminished rate, if I pronounce it correctly.
Sure.
You might let them help them to understand, those who may not have been here in our last session, to know what that means.
Sure, yes, sir. I'll explain it. We essentially have 3 different tax rate brackets that are given to us by statute, and it can be anywhere between those or over, but those are the thresholds, so to speak. You have our last year's tax rate, which is 56.564. That's our last year's tax rate. The tax rate that would bring in $0 in new revenue, it would bring in the exact same amount of revenue as it did last year. The no new revenue new rate is 0.5213. The voter approval tax rate, that's an increase of 3.5% of additional revenue within a year. This was the initial one that we proposed to council, the voter approval rate. And then after looking into our budget and into our employment issues and needs, the next available bracket is the de minimis rate. That's a rate that will bring in an additional $500,000 in new revenue over last year's revenue. And so whatever that rate ends up being to bring in that $500,000, that's the de minimis rate. We brought in additional $500,000 and put those all towards personnel costs. We raised, after looking at our police department, our fire department needs, our public work needs, and we pulled salaries from other nearby cities of our own tax values and population sizes. We found, as we already knew, that we were way under on our competitiveness in attracting employees and maintaining employees. That $500,000 put us in the running, put us in a very competitive bracket to be able to attract and retain police officers. Just with the news of this potentially being approved by council, we already have applications coming in for our police department positions. We have people already interested in the 2 firefighter positions to fill those. We feel like we can fill those positions with local, homegrown people that want to stay off the roads. They don't want to drive to Lufkin or Huntsville or other cities. They want to work here if they could afford it. And we believe that this is what it's going to take to make that happen. And we feel pretty confident that this is really good for our city and maintaining and keeping really good people that can do the work that we're expecting of them.
Thank you, Mr. Ingleside. And I'd like to say in conclusion.
Oh, I'm not just saying you finish.
Oh, someone needs to speak.
From
Okay.
You know, they socket to us on the property values.
I'm sorry.
Pretty big. So, I mean, how much is that gonna increase? I mean, you know, you gotta look to it. You know, your property values are higher, so the tax rate, is it the same tax rate that was last year?
It's using the property values from what our current property values that our appraisal district is already certified. So it's using the new property values.
The higher ones?
Yes, sir.
Is the tax rate lower than last year or higher?
The de minimis rate is higher. Yes, sir. It's 68
So that means
cents.
it's gonna go way up.
Yes, sir.
Our taxes are gonna go way up.
They're going to, yes, sir, they are going to go up.
Well, let me say this to you, Mr. Constant. I understand you.
$100,000 is added, or 150.
I understand your concerns.
Run us out of business, really.
I don't think that's the goal of this council, is to put anybody out of business.
You, the appraisal district.
Well, I think
That's
that,
valued more than you'll sell it for.
yes, sir. I understand your concerns, and I think they can take care of their own matters as far as explanation. You have that right as a citizen to consult with them about that. But I just want to say that in reference to this new rate, that we're in need of revenue. We were behind, and certainly with the need for our employees that the city has that serve us in various capacities. And then you consider our police department, our fire department, all of these departments, we're having trouble keeping them. They're leaving and going other places for better wages. And, you know, I'm a property owner too, Mr. Clunce, and I understand we don't have the extra to pay more, but everybody in our city is called upon to pay just a little bit more, so that when you have an issue that needs to be attended to, like a fire, or you have need of law enforcement, we have people here to respond, and they'll come and serve you as they should. That is one of the greatest problem that's this city right now. I know many of you don't follow city government as to what's actually going on as far as city council. We do other departments and entities of the city. But when you understand the depth of the issues that we face as a city, then it does call upon all of us to just do just a little bit more that we can, and that little bit more would help us to retain those that are here, and also to be able to get quality people and keep them here, so that we won't have a fire and only the fire marshals are able to show up at the fire. I wouldn't want that, because I'm in the process of remodeling the home, and certainly I want someone to respond if I had need, or law enforcement for that matter. So all our garbage, I mean, every employee is critical to the operation of this city. And so, yeah, we have to pay a little bit more. I'm not crazy about tax increases, but if it's necessary for the good of all and the operation of the city, I'm willing to do my share. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Just for clarification, as a citizen
Your name?
and a taxpayer, how much of the forensic audit will be affected or this tax money be used for?
I'm sorry.
The tax increase money?
We're just talking, I mean, that wouldn't be one of the issues that we would be addressing. We're just addressing the rate itself. We're not designating where it's going at this point, except for what we just basically covered in the budget.
Well, we did designate where it's going. It's going to our employees.
Yeah.
Only the employees?
Yeah.
Only to the employees,
Yes,
correct.
employees.
That's it.
Yes, ma'am.
Y'all can, if y'all can, state y'all's names when y'all are,
I'm
because
sorry.
we're recording this.
Having reviewed hundreds of municipal budgets across the southern United States and Texas, I will give the City of Crockett this attaboy. You guys are lean and mean on your city budget. I have seen very little waste. If you could compare your budget with comparable cities, I have to commend each and every one of you for the City of Crockett, per se, to be very acute with the expenditures of your money. You know, you guys 5 or 6 years ago, you had a different situation. And I will commend Mr. Angerstein for sharpening that pencil significantly and getting the city out of a situation that I was very aware of through my career. So having said that, I know that you guys keep a lean and mean organization. I don't see a lot of waste. I see the people working. And that's all. I think taxpayers, I don't care where they're at, they want a dollar value for a dollar spent. And that's all we can ask.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, in agreement with her, you know, I don't know what the city's financial situation was or the budget issue was, but it was a grand opportunity given to you to get that straight. Just to say that we understand that when things happen in that county and things are given opportunity to be modified or be straightened, that opportunity should be given to everyone.
Okay. Any more comments? Any comments from the council? If not, last call. Hearing is officially closed. Okay, number 9, consider and approve an ordinance levying ad valorem taxes for use and support of the municipal government of the City of Crockett for fiscal year 2023, providing for appropriating each levy for specific purposes and providing when taxes shall become due and when same become delinquent if not paid.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved in second. All in favor? Ordinance carry. Item number 10, consider and approve 2022 tax roll.
Mayor and council, I've received the tax roll certified from the appraisal district, and they presented it for approval. It's the tax roll that I received and sent out last week.
Okay, council?
I'll make a motion that we consider and approve this current tax rate.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor? Motion carries. Item number 10, consider and approve 2022-2023 fiscal year budget for the Crockett Economic and Industrial Development Corporation. Mr. Gentry?
Mayor, City Councilman.
Mr. Gentry?
I think before you have a presentation of our actuals versus our budget of this year, as well as our prospective budget for the future of the 22-23 budget. We've made some adjustments in terms of how we report, in terms of eliminating the statement regarding a draw note that was approved by the city some years ago for us to maintain our capability to go out and assist prospective businesses here for $600,000. But the way it was presented in our budget, it kind of gave a misnomer, so we took that out for the present being, for y'all's understanding. We pretty much are a flat budget, other than some cost of living improvements, and in fact the impacts of higher fuel costs and that type of thing. Other than that, we have addressed several prospect incentives that we are looking at that are shown on the spreadsheet in the far right lower section. 2 of them have been there for the last year that we decided to delay until this forthcoming year. The other 2 are involving conversations that Mr. Engelstein and I've had on the office building at the Civic Center and looking at what we might consider our contribution to repairs to the roof that houses our offices at the Civic Center there, which is $15,000. And then we have a prospect that I'll be talking to you later on that we initially have looked at proposing for the early morning prospect an incentive of $25,000. Otherwise, the other dues, subscriptions, EDC training, industrial park maintenance, rail spur, and other things are spelled out on the far right corner there. And of course, looking at this year's budget compared to our actuals to the center of the page, you can see we are well under what our projections are for the total budget for the year. We are hoping that with improvements and us getting out of a COVID site, that our annual or monthly average sales tax will increase. We're targeting for the next year, our target is for an average monthly sales tax of $55,416 to contribute to the budget that we have for 22-23. Are there any questions?
council.
Why is the roofing in prospective incentives?
Well, this was something that we put it under an umbrella of incentives, but it's actually a maintenance cost, really, that we're providing our portion to the city to repair the roof at our office building there.
And why would the gas line be part of the?
The gas line is a production or high production gas line that we recognized several years ago that we needed to put in the industrial park as an incentive to attract businesses that would require an industrial sized gas line. Initially, we had partnered with the city for a $2.5 million grant that we had hoped that would be part of that grant. We went through the whole procedures and processes and laid into the finalization of that $2.5 million grant. That gas line was removed by, I think, either DEDCOG or the state from that. So we still want to have that gas line in the industrial park because there are potential candidates that have voiced interest in coming into the industrial park, but they were requiring a larger line than what we have in that area. Right now, we only have the residential 2-inch line in the area.
Could we not, like, say, okay, y'all come, we'll put it in? Y'all come, we'll put it in instead of it just being in the budget and doing it and nobody's there? I mean, y'all come, we'll do it instead of it being there and spending the money to do it and nobody's even there.
Well, you have a valid point there. One of the reasons we haven't spent it so far was wanting to get a more of a commitment from industrial site that we have. As some of you may recall, we had a sale of a piece of property for a recycling plant in our industrial park. During the COVID period, they pulled back their horns on it, but the last conversations I had with them was that they were still looking to come here to place that plant in our industrial park. But I wasn't in a hurry to move forward with it until I had some dirt turning on the ground that they've already acquired from us.
That's like $117,057. I mean, I wouldn't do that unless I knew somebody was coming.
Well, that's why you haven't seen it spent.
Also, the other side of that, Mr. Marsh, is that when an area is prepared and ready for business, you more than likely may gain that business rather than waiting until they may have an interest. They may look and see that that area is not prepared. If they have need of a gas line and it's not there, then they're more than likely not, and it's just my opinion for what it's worth, and more than likely they wouldn't choose that location if they have another choice of an area that is prepared and ready for them to be established. And so that's just the flip side of it. I understand the expense that's of doing that, but otherwise, well, you know, and then also you got to understand, as far as incentives, we're dealing with incentives right now. There is a business, I won't call that name, I may not be privileged to, that's considering coming to our city. And business coming, they look, well, what is the city going to do to help us to be established or get established? And you know, keep in mind they have other areas. We are behind on growth. I mean that's just the flat truth. There were missed opportunities in the history of our city, and I've been here soon will be 68 years, and so I do know some history of our city. And there were missed opportunity because we didn't have a lot of people serving in government that were visionaries who could see and willing to look beyond their fears and allow the city to grow and prosper. We're in a new age now. We have people here, and I'm gonna be through, but I've got to say this. We have people here now buying properties all across our cities. We spent money on downtown development. And so now we need to be ready and poised for growth and not living, my friend here, I forget her name, said that the city's done great, you know, compared to some. And we take that as a compliment. But also at the same time, we understand that unless a city is willing to invest in itself, I'm not talking about frivolous spending and wasteful spending, but willing to invest for the prosperity of its citizens. I think that we miss opportunities. That steel plant sitting up there in Grapeland was first had an opportunity to be here, but we missed it. Why? I don't know. I was in there with dealings, but I know that's a fact. So all I'm saying is that we are now poised to do better. Yes, you want to watch every dollar. You want to make sure that we be prudent in our spending and that we be good stewards of what the citizen invest for us to manage on their behalf. But we've got to be able to grow and loosen up in a sense of make ourselves more presentable to industries and businesses. And that gas line, this is a small thing as far as attracting. I mean, there's a whole lot more that needs to be done, but it will help. That park is ours. We've invested in it, and now you just can't let it sit there and just mow it. But we need to, if we have to make an investment in it in a prudent manner, I think we should do that. And I thank Mr. Gentry and others that work out there with him who are trying. They're not perfect. James Gentry is there, but he's not. He can't guarantee everything that comes through. There are many deals that we know that didn't make it. Is that his fault? Of course not. That's silly even to think so. Because when you, onshore, when they stood here and we signed the document, I had great hopes of them making it and becoming a vital part of our city's economy. But it just didn't pan out. And if you look at yourselves, many things in your life didn't pan out. And I can look at myself, and there are many things that didn't pan out that cost me money, you know, and I learned lessons from it, not to go that way again. So, you know, there are no guarantees. We can only hope and use all the data that's available to make the best decision in an effort to cause economic growth and prosperity of our city. God knows we need it.
Just on the item 705.
Yeah, that's what they speaking on is the gas line and everything, but it's not budgeted in
It's
there.
not, that's what I was saying, it's not.
So, it's just.
You didn't.
That was just something you
Yeah.
consider.
That's something he's considering. It's not in the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, we're
we
discussing
understand.
it, but it's not there. So were you gonna,
Well, this is the first I'm seeing of this tonight, so, of the budget.
okay. What I just
We
said-
specifically asked to have it at least 3 days in advance,
I'm sorry, you said what?
the budget.
I really haven't got to look at it.
John, you got it.
Yeah,
3 days
it was
ago.
emailed it to us.
Yeah, I emailed it.
I see 12,000 in training
Yes, sir.
there, Mr. Gentry. Does everyone on the board and everybody have all their continued education and everything, all the certifications?
Yes, we continue to have some that are in the process of getting the basic course. We have of course, their basic public information and open meetings training. But along with that, I've encouraged them to consider taking the sales tax training as well as the basic economic development course. And along with that, I serve on the Texas Economic Development Council Board, and we try to make available to our members any training that we can online as possible to make them better prepared to be good board members and good governors of the Economic Development Corporation.
So if these are gonna be funded, where's that money coming from? Where did it come? Because it's not in there.
This,
It's not in the budget.
right, yeah, I see that.
So where does it come from?
But you send me an email on this.
He
It's
couldn't
not
read
like
it.
this. I don't do emails. This is what I want to look at.
Yeah. So there's 100% increase in your, what is the insurance bonds? 100% per person?
Let's see, we're looking at 0611. That was actually looking at all of our bonding as well as our insurances from the standpoint of the tech center building, all other buildings that we have property involved. We paid through the city, through TML for coverages, and the total average is about $12,000. In the past, we hadn't acquired the full list of that. Mitzi provided that information to me, and I realized that we were missing it, and actually it's more in the range of $12,000 if we pay for all of our bonds and other insurances that we have.
What's the purpose of the van?
Purpose of the van. The van is used for transporting around town when we have guests come, to show them around our facilities as well as the city as a whole. When we have people such as in April, we had a very significant opportunity that we were in bids with, in competition with Lufkin and College Station, to place a 100-man facility here. During that time, we utilized the vehicle to show them around town, to give them tours of the facilities in our park. It's a vehicle that we've had for a number of years, and we've used it for that purpose or to assist in certain times when we've had issues here in the town. We've assisted when we had storms. We've assisted when we needed to help people during the COVID period, to provide food for the needy folks in our community. And when I needed to go to certain nearby events that I'm participating in as either a board member or a spokesman for this community.
Who all's authorized to use the van?
Myself and my assistant are the primary users of that van.
So no one else is insured for it, or?
We have a general policy, and it's primarily one that covers all drivers.
I mean, I don't know, I'm assuming this is the truth. The car allowance is supposed to go through payroll?
Well,
has it been going through payroll?
You bring that up. In the 5.5 years that I've been here, I've used very little of that $7,200. It was a standing agreement with all my predecessors to utilize it. I just chose not to use it.
So you don't get any of that money?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I've kept it in there because of the fact that
So you use your own personal vehicle and get mileage?
Actually, I only use it, we put gas in it, and I use it when I'm on, and I use that when I'm traveling out of town, to TEDC conferences or to other conferences. I use the credit card to pay for my gas to and from, and that's it.
So in reality, we could probably take that out of the budget, right?
I said leave it. You don't want to take that out.
If we don't use it, I mean.
We just might need to see a better way of utilizing, but I don't think you ever want to be without some support. Probably might want to concentrate on just using that as it's been designed. Designated, rather.
Exactly how much is left on the state school loan?
I think we're looking at 385,000, if memory serves me well.
That's what's left now, 385.
Your budget amount, Mr. Gentry, is that over or under what it was the last fiscal year?
I didn't hear that last part.
I said your budget, current budget, is it over or under the last fiscal year's budget?
It's this 21-22 budget is right on line with what we had projected, or we're under budget right now.
Yes.
The projections for 22-23 are primarily more a flat line, other than a few areas where we increased due to inflation.
Okay.
Mr. Gentry, if council approves this, are you going to want them to amend the prospect incentive to at least include the items that you have listed on the side?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, if it's approved, I'd like to amend this to come back before council to be approved. These,
If it's
Those items?
these items. Because it's supposed to be over a certain amount, come back to us anyway.
Unless it's approved in the.
Are you speaking, Mr. March, of the incentive?
The
Yes, and-
prospective incentives.
My question was on the prospect incentives, he also has like the roof expenditure and the gas line. So if this budget is approved,
because it will.
he doesn't have a line item to take it out of because he didn't put anything in the prospect incentives.
Okay.
So
That was a mistake on my part.
So if it's, he can either be included or, like Mr. Marsh said, just, you could return to council to include those when you're ready to approve them.
Will it, I guess, will it be necessary to come back if you know what's gonna be put in there anyway? Or can we do it with that amendment? I mean, it's gonna be the
I would
same
just-
general discussion.
I would just do a approval amending this with approval coming back to council for these approvals.
At the time of expense?
Yes.
Excuse me.
Is this, I mean, will it be necessary to come back when it's approved, if we could get it just amended to reflect?
If council approves it tonight with those as approved capital expenditures, then he would not have to come back unless council requests that when you come back to spend those, just
Just
show
say the same.
that bids were done and that they feel good about spending it. But these would be a capital expenses essentially, not prospect incentives. It'd be capital expenses.
I don't feel good about spending for a gas line until I know something's coming. Why are you gonna put something there when they, nothing there?
As we project on a budget, anticipation.
Yeah.
So what is?
I
the-
make a motion that we go ahead and approve his budget as it is for now, and if we need to come back and, make adjustments to it, we can do that.
And therefore you would put it in there.
So they're not, the capital expenses are not in there. And you could come back. Yeah.
Is that,
Is that what y'all are understanding?
Yeah.
okay, so the budget is, let me just make sure that your, the recommendation is that the budget be approved as is with no capital, with those expenses not included in it.
With the prospect incentives not
Not
included.
included. Is that the pleasure?
I second.
Okay, well, let's get the motion. I'm sorry,
No.
it was still in
Well, then-
question. Now,
Yes,
the full.
that's,
Okay, would you restate it just for clarity?
now, I make a motion that we go ahead and approve, EDC's budget, pending, a need for that, line or whatever, then it can come back, those capital expenditures can come back before council.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and second, all in favor? Motion carries. What was it? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, did it carry? I missed.
I think you
Who
had-
voted?
Okay.
So three, you voted?
Yeah, I'm a no.
So
Okay.
3-1?
3-1.
Okay.
3-1.
One sustained.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gentry. Okay, that brings us to the executive session. At this time, we will ask that you take a break. But we need Mr. Gentry.
For the second one, we will.
Oh, yeah, I see what it is, okay.
The second one.
Mr. Gentry, on the second one, we'll call you in on item 13. We'll call you in for the next one, for the executive.